The StarRupture Roadmap is full of exciting updates, but one line on here matters more than everything else combined, because it quietly answers the biggest question about the game's future. The roadmap specifically lists Endgame as a feature coming in version 1.0. And that might not sound exciting at first, but this is actually huge, because it's basically the developers admitting, yeah, right now the game doesn't really have an endgame, but we think that it should, and we're building one. This signals that they're building a system meant to keep us engaged well beyond what we're getting from the gameplay loops currently in the game. So now the real question becomes, what does an endgame look like in a game like StarRupture? Story-wise, we're literally prisoners on this hostile planet, so maybe the endgame is about earning our freedom? Or building some massive final machine to escape? I'm personally a fan of infinite research and other factory games and systems like that which allow you to endlessly make a number go up. But there's a lot of other things they could do with it. Maybe the frost waves and ruptures become part of the endgame systems instead of just being an environmental event. Maybe there's a final corporate objective that requires absurd levels of production. There's a lot of cool directions they could take this. Let me know in the comments what you think the endgame should look like for StarRupture. But that's not the only underrated thing on this roadmap. There are a few other items here that could quietly have a massive impact on how the game actually feels to play. First up is the cargo dispatcher and receiver rework. Right now, the way that these work is first, you load items into a dispatcher, then you assign that dispatcher to a receiver somewhere else on the map, and then you finally unload the items from the receiver at your destination. And this idea is great, but the system is pretty clunky. The biggest issue is that you can only configure everything on the dispatcher side, so if you haven't even built the receiver yet, you're going to have to run back and forth a couple times to set it all up. What I'd love to see is, at a minimum, the ability to configure routes from the receiver side. Even better would be to have a centralized console where you can manage all your cargo logistics in one place. I think the simplest approach would be to actually skip configuration entirely and just allow any requester to pull from any dispatcher as long as there is some dispatcher that has the item that the requester wants. A related improvement here is giving dispatchers multiple inventory slots so that there isn't a delay between filling and sending. If they nail this whole system, it could make all of our scattered factories feel like they are part of one awesome super factory that spans the entire map. All we would have to do is make sure that the final outputs go into cargo dispatchers. The roadmap lists new building features as coming in early access, and we also have building mechanics mentioned under ongoing improvements. This is vague, of course, but here are some things I'm hoping that it means. First, blueprints. Anyone who has played factory games with blueprints knows how big of a difference these make, especially for building large or precise factories. Second, multi-select for deleting buildings. It's a bit painful currently to delete buildings and platforms. Making this way faster seems like an obvious improvement to make. And the third one I want to call out is deleting a building without leaving a hole in your foundation. When it comes to building in StarRupture, there are some little things that end up being big things when you play for many hours. One is I would like it to be more snappy to place buildings where I want them. I usually want a building to be exactly on my foundation where I'm pointing my mouse. I don't want it to be beneath my foundation or way above it, but the game doesn't currently seem to understand this. Lastly, I want to mention rails. Currently the multi-rails seem to be bugged, so of course I would like to see fixes there. But I'd also like to see more rail types added. In particular, I'm hoping to see them add one where it's basically the regular rail connector, but make it so a single rail has the connectors at 3 or 5 different heights, sort of like a multi-rail, but where it can be easily split from. Right now, rebuilding and reorganizing is more annoying than it needs to be. And that's a problem because iteration is a big part of factory building. Even small quality of life changes here would make a massive difference. We're also getting a new Forgotten engine, which I'm personally really excited about. Exploring the first one was some of the coolest moments in the game for me. I don't really have much to speculate on here. For now, this is an area where I just want to let the developers cook. Another thing worth mentioning on the roadmap is game performance, which is listed under ongoing improvements. And to be fair, the game already runs pretty smoothly for me overall. I don't usually have any performance issues during normal gameplay. But that kind of depends on what you define as normal gameplay. because if you build a massive enough foundation, you will definitely notice significant lag spikes when placing down buildings. So I'm hoping this part of the roadmap means that they are actively working on optimizing the way they do the calculations that are causing this lag. Because in a factory game, I always prefer that I can make foundations as large as I want without needing any workarounds. One line that really caught my attention was it says that there's going to be a new way to travel on the map between bases. I want to interpret this as meaning that I can open the map, and on the map I can click my other bases to travel to them. But some type of vehicles or other fast movement could also be cool here. I'm interested to see what they come up with. Somewhat related is the new exploration mechanics. This one's interesting because exploration's already really good. I'm wondering if this means making movement more fun, or if this means more depth to exploration itself, like more puzzles to solve in order to get important items. We'll have to see. The more I look at this roadmap, the more optimistic I get about the future of the game. The developer, Creepy Jar, is known for working closely with their community, and this roadmap highlights that. They've actually explicitly listed several of the game's biggest pain points. If they're able to deliver on all this, I think StarRupture will end up being something really special. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. Thank you for watching.